Welcome to Kiss the Reviews. I'm Armando, that's Corey, and today we're doing 1998 Legionnaire. Before we get started, if you want to follow the show, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Kiss the Reviews. Let's get into the cast of 1998's Legionnaire. This film stars Jean-Claude Van Damme as Alain Lefevre, Adewale Akinnuoye-Agbaje as Luther, Stephen Berkoff as Sergeant Steinkampf, and Anna Sofrenovic as Katrina. I ran through those as quickly as possible, and hopefully I didn't screw them up. But whatever. On with Legionnaire.
Sounded all very foreign to my white ears.
I'm sure it did.
I already got an uneasy feeling going up my spine.
Yeah, I don't really remember this movie. Like I think I remember the trailer, and I never watched it. I may have like seen it in passing, maybe on like TBS or something after this came out.
I'm going to keep it a buck. I'd never heard of this movie when it first came out. I'm like, did he mean Legion? Like when the request came in, I'm like, did he mean Legion with Paul Bettany? Because I don't know this movie.
Yeah, so this is my first time running through this one. So I say we just jump in. What do you say?
Let's do it.
All right. So this film opens with a scroll telling us about the badass Legionnaires, and then it cuts to 1925 France, and we have JCVD, who's apparently a boxer, and he's at a club where women are showing off their pantaloons, and he's paid to take a dive in his next match by like this mob boss who's dating his ex.
This backstory is only more unnecessary than it is convoluted. There's no point for this to be like, I get it. You got to have a reason for him to join the Legionnaire.
Yeah.
And there are myriad reasons for him to do that don't involve this weird backstory of I'm a boxer and I'm taking a dive and oh shit, the girl I love just walked in, but she's dating this mob boss. And I'm lost.
No,
already.
The whole opening doesn't need to be there. I mean, shit, you could have had him, it was 1925. You could have had him stealing a loaf of bread and running from the cops, and he ends up in the Legionnaire's office, which that's all that happens here. He goes to the boxing match. He fights the mob boss's guy. He doesn't take the dive. And then him and his like manager / agent / trainer are running through the streets. He gets shot, and then JCVD shoots like the mob boss. Is it the mob boss's son, his brother? Like
his brother. Okay. And
cool.
He's the only one with an accent.
I don't know why they did this. Like, you're in France, okay? You're not like from the motherland and then you came to New York and everybody gonna talk like this. Like, that's just not. And by the way, if you live in Europe, I don't care what year it was, you learned multiple languages. So, not that this needed to be in French. I'm just saying.
This mob is very like open-minded because there's Englishmen in it. The mob boss, I don't even know what he is. We'll just call him the Greek from like The Wire season 2. But like I don't know what he is. But there's an Englishman, there's the mob boss, then his Italian little brother, and it's like, dude, like this motherfucker's 54 and running around like he's 22.
Yeah.
Calling your little brother a little brother after like, I don't know, 30 is kind of weird.
You were right.
And Katrina, is her character, as much as she's like involved at the very beginning, there's like he mentions her a couple of times throughout this movie, and you'd figure, it'll come back around at the end, and it doesn't.
No, I paused this with 30 minutes to go. And I'm like, when is he going to go fight the mob boss and get his girl back? Like, that's That's how they sold it in the description of the fucking film.
Yep.
I didn't make
Yep.
that up. Like, I'm not like imagining where it's going to go.
Yeah.
That's how it was described, and it doesn't exist. This is really a movie about the Legionnaire, and I'll be honest with you, that was very refreshing, and I enjoyed that
Yeah.
way more. Did it make the beginning of this movie completely irrelevant? Yep. But does the rest of this movie kind of kick? Yep.
He sees his love, and then he's like, oh, well, I guess we'll meet at the train station and then we'll go to America together. But because he doesn't take the dive and he's got to run away, he misses that. So she is going to leave, but the mob catches her and then brings her back to the mob boss. And then he accidentally joins the Legionnaires as he's running away from the cops here after he killed the mob dude. So that I didn't get. It was he mistakenly joins the French Foreign Legion.
Yeah, like he joins the French Foreign Legion, and this is what confused me about this, because again, you're setting up the plot where he joined this legion, he's going to serve some time, whatever, but eventually he's going to leave and go back and get Katrina. That's the whole point.
Yes.
But he doesn't, and as the movie progresses, I'm like, is this dude like honoring his contract? Like, I signed up for 2 years, I got to do 2 years. Them's the rules.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, you're on the run because you shot a mob boss's brother and accidentally was involved with a cop getting shot.
Yes.
Cool. I get that. You go to the one place where no questions are asked and you can join up and you're free and clear. Nobody can touch you. Dope. Get that. But you're going to honor the contract? At no point in time are you like, fuck these guys. I'm done with the desert.
Yes.
And you just fucking head back. You're a resourceful guy. You easily, the rest of this movie should have been you getting back to France and getting your girl and escaping the French Foreign Legion. I don't know, kind of like the plot of Lionheart.
I was gonna bring it up, but I was like, whatever. But
I think his fucking name is the same. It's Alain.
It's Alain.
Yeah, it's Alain.
So after this, he gets shipped to Morocco to serve the French Foreign Legion. He meets Guido, Maxim, and Luther, and the four become fast friends. And we then cut to them becoming closer through their training exercises in the desert and hanging out in brothels and things.
I have to say, one of the most refreshing pieces of this movie was there was one black character in it, and all of the racism was directed toward every single Italian in this movie.
Yes, it was. I was going to say that. Like, Luther in this is a normal character.
Yeah.
He escaped America because, it was 1925 and, bad things. And then, that's kind of why he's there. But he's like this very good, well-written, strong character. And then they were like, we need an Italian in here. And they were like, yeah, he loves pasta. He only eats salami sandwiches. And he's got a tuck a leg at this. And what's his name? Guido? We'll just call him Guido, right?
Hell yes.
This is the most racism I've seen toward Italians since Tommy DeVito started at quarterback for the New York Giants.
What are you talking about? But JCVD and Maxim here have a moment after the brothel scene, and Maxim tells him that he's got a gambling problem. He used to be in the British military, and his dad was a high-ranking officer, and apparently because of his gambling problem and writing bad checks, he got kicked out of the military. And after this, because this made no sense to me. But, and again, I like all the French Foreign Legion shit. Like, it's good. I want to preface that. But, like, they're out training, right, before the brothel, because after the Maxim scene where they share personal stories, it cuts back to the mob boss. Like, I thought we were done with that story, but it cuts back to the mob boss reading the paper, and there's a picture of JCVD in the paper, like, shooting his rifle. at their trainings. And he's like, we gotta go get it, the guy who's doing the thing. So he sends two dudes to join the French Foreign Legion?
Which, look, man, I know I took a blood oath, but go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
You must be
listen,
out of your fucking mind.
the mob is one thing. You want me to steal and murder and like, cool, I know what I signed up for. In no mob in history where they were like, now you got to go join the French Foreign Legion. No, that's not fucking part of the job description, guy.
And it's not even to assassinate JCVD, which would be easy, but it's to take him back to France. So not only do I have to join the French Foreign Legion, but then I have to be a deserter and hunted by the French Foreign Legion for the rest of my life. So you can torture this guy?
Yes.
Fuck you. You're out of your fucking Italian mind, motherfucker. I can see why everybody's racist towards you.
You were correct.
You signed the blood oath, you go to Morocco, okay? And bring him back to me.
You could suck my raviolis, motherfucker. That ain't happening.
So after the training, they get deployed. They have to march across the desert. JCVD has his moments with Guido here, and he then carries him across the desert because not only is it just like, yeah, he's a freaking pasta fagioli Italian. Now they're also like, he's also a bitch, and he's the only one that gets dehydrated because apparently he's got too much like olive oil in his system. So he can't possibly march across the desert.
They told me Cabernet was good for the heart, though.
Yeah, no, this guy does is drink wine and like chug like sausage oil. And he's like, I'm so dehydrated, I cannot make across the desert.
Let me tell you about my lost love as I drink this wine.
Yeah, can we talk about that? Not Italians aren't like that. Just FYI, that's a misnomer. That's been out there for years.
It's my experience that they're loyal assholes.
Is it possible this story is true? Yes, it is.
But the whole like, oh, Italians, they're the romantic. No, they just like to fuck. Like that's, can we just say that? They're not romantic. They're not like, oh, my lost love is so important to me. They're not like that. Just speaking from experience.
Yeah, if your ass goes to Italy and you're a woman, you are getting sexually harassed, and the only person who's telling you it's called romance is the Italian guy sexually harassing you.
So they see this little like mud pond puddle thing in the middle of the desert. Everybody like starts rushing towards it. They get ambushed as they stop to drink muddy water. And Guido is shot and killed here, but only after he saves Sergeant Steinkampf.
I think this is a principal, like, central thing as to why I did not want to ever join any kind of military service, is because in all of these movies, they're drinking their own piss, they're drinking mud water, they're drinking buffalo shit, like they're squeezing grass water into their mouth, like, oh, this dew is amazing. Fuck that. Do you know what I have in my refrigerator? A big ass pitcher of water. And do you know what I have on tap ready to refill my big ass pitcher of water? More fucking water.
Hell yes.
Fuck desert warfare. That's all I'm saying.
I'll drink faucet water from Flint before I drink some of this shit that they're doing, okay?
Facts.
But
Facts. This whole scene, every time they were walking in the desert, it kept reminding me of the old Sam Kinison bit.
Understand that you live in a fucking desert! Nothing grows out here! Nothing's gonna grow out here!
You see this? Huh? See this? This is sand. Yeah. It's sand. You know it's going to be 100 years from now, huh?
It's gonna be sad!
after they get to an outpost, the three remaining friends get put on work detail for insubordination. And JCVD then runs into the boxer that he beat in France and the other dude from the mob. And he's like, oh, apparently they're here to kill me or take me to France. So he goes up to him playing cards. He's like, hey, I know how to play cards. I don't know why he's Italian, but that's what he did.
Yeah, no, they would never make the lead of a film an Italian. No, thank you. And I
Gross.
like how, because it's a French movie, that one of the bad guys doesn't talk. He just pantomimes the whole time. He like walks up to JCVD. He's like, JCVD always has a bad guy that just doesn't talk in his movies.
Most of the reasons why the bad guys in JCVD movies don't talk is because they don't speak English. So whatever they say doesn't fit. So it's typically like one word, like die. Like that's all they can get because that's all they could put on film. So that's why. But here, like I'm pretty sure that guy's British. That like
no, he 100% is, because he does eventually talk.
Yes. But he's just
which I don't get.
He just eyeballs. It's a lot of like close shots of him just eyeballing JCVD, and that's all you get. But
I'm a mean mugger, I am.
But a crew goes out on a reconnaissance mission here, and like JCVD is picked, Maxim is picked, but like Luther stays behind, and then the other mob people are also picked to go on this crew. And Maxim turns on JCVD because he got paid for it, and he's got a bit of a gambling problem, right? So before Maxim can shoot JCVD, they get attacked again, and they barely get away, and they make it back to the outpost.
Which was hilarious to me, because when they're running, JCVD goes, "Throw me my rifle," and they do it.
Yeah. Well, and the guy that mean mugs him and doesn't say a word is like, he gets like shot in like the leg or some shit, and he was like, "Oi, run and I'll cover you." And cover you with what? First of all, there's 30 dudes on horseback, okay, who have swords and guns. It's 1925. There's only one gun in this movie that shoots multiple rounds, and it's a machine gun that they have back at the outpost. These rifles that they have are what? One bullet, maybe two?
Oh yeah, this is some bolt action shit.
Yes.
Like, and we're not even talking about like, I think like even in World War II where you had like the little 5-round clip you could put in.
Yeah.
You're like pop, pop, pop. No, this is
yes.
And you're reloading a lot.
I'll cover you against these 30 dudes on horseback. Bang! Run! Bang! And he's dead.
Oops.
I got you covered, guy. So they get back to the outpost here, and the outpost gets attacked. Maxim takes some shrapnel to the eye, and then Maxim becomes sergeant because basically everybody else there is dead, and they have no ammo. And after the last attack, he and Steinkampf send Luther to get a message out to send reinforcements, because he's the only one that can pass as a native in the entire crew that they have there. That and everybody's dead.
Yeah, I think that's probably more of it. Like, everybody's dead. You just take a walk. Take a walk.
Yeah.
And again, this is where I thought we were going to get maybe like a little bit of like 1917, where it's like, you know, we're walking through the desert. We got this mission now, and it's the two of them, or JCVD was going to disobey orders and he was going to go with his buddy and save him, and they were going to get this message to send the cavalry. Nope.
Yeah.
He protests. He's told no. And he's like, "Okay, sir." And he goes out on fucking guard duty.
Yeah.
There's so many missed opportunities in this movie, and I don't understand why. Because I mean, this is basic bitch writing shit. This isn't me like, I have discovered quantum physics. No, this is basic shit.
Yeah.
But none of the things they set up ever actually lead to any sort of conclusion.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, the one bright note in this is that like all of these attacks and the dudes on horseback and the outpost and shit blowing up, and these scenes are fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Like super action packed, really good. if they just wove the story a little bit better around these like fight scenes,
Mm-hmm.
it would have been an incredible movie.
Oh
But
yeah, especially with the tactics of the, I guess the enemy, for lack of a better term, is like they go in, they get their food, they take their food supply out, then they go back in, take out their ammo, retreat again. Like the tactic here is awesome, and
Yep.
being able to see kind of that balance of the military minds going back and forth, and this commitment to cause on one side where these guys are just a hodgepodge of mercenaries brought together trying to defend basically the Alamo at this point.
yeah.
This could have been so good.
Oh yeah.
Like this could have been like Zulu good, and
Yep.
it just wasn't.
You were correct.
So JCVD then sees Luther as he's standing guard. He's captured by the dudes on horseback. He's circled by all the guys on horseback. And as the Legion gets attacked again, JCVD mercy kills Luther. And then that last attack ensues. And this is where literally everybody gets murked. Like JCVD, Maxim, who's barely alive, and then the random mob guy are the only three in this fucking place that are still standing at the end of this thing.
Yep. And Maxim redeems himself. He shoots the other bad guy to save JCVD. And again, JCVD keeps asking about his girl.
Yeah.
And again, where is the conclusion to that story?
Well, there
And
is
then-
no conclusion.
For some reason, Maxim, who's been with the French Foreign Legion the same amount of time as JCVD has all of the information about where this girl is. Like, oh, what you don't know, boyo, is she ran off to America. And she's fine. She's doing well. She sends postcards once in a while. Like, what in the fuck are you talking about? Where did any of this come from, and how do you know it?
Well, because he got all hooked up with the mob guys who were gonna apparently pay him off to kill JCVD. That's how he got all the info.
And they're just a bunch of fucking gossip queens.
But wait, exactly.
Like,
but
Maxim sat down with him. So what's the tea, girl? Tell me.
They stole all of Guido's wine after he died, and they just got fucked up, and they were just talking shit about everybody. But
can we have a quick kiki?
There's
what's happening with America these days?
There's no reason for him to even share the info to JCVD, because when the movie ends here, JCVD is the last alive. He walks out and it's all the dudes on horseback lined up, and you got the one main guy, and JCVD comes out and it's like, oh my God, are they going to kill me? And he's just like, no, quit attacking our fucking land. You're not from here. And see what happened here? Go tell your dudes that this shit's going to happen every fucking time. And then the movie ends. Like, it's not even like, oh, he's free to leave the French Foreign Legion now because literally everybody's dead. And then, like, I don't know, you show him on the train, you show him going back. Like, you can end with them getting back together, but they don't even do that. It's just this thing, the horse guys on horseback ride off, fade to black, credits. Sure.
That's it.
The movie ends. What's the ending of this one? How does this one end? JCVD is the only one alive. Fade to black. What about the girl? Fuck her. Okay.
What girl?
Sounds good to me. Let's just end it like that.
This is
listen, it's a good movie, but again, I'm not a writer. I just know how I feel when there's like fractured storylines in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I can watch a movie and go, oh, the writing in this is really bad as far as like the plot points and how it flows and yada yada. But I don't necessarily know how to fix it. With this one, I'm like, all you got to do is circle back at the end. I'll forgive all the middle stuff, but let's just circle back at the end and button this fucker up.
Yeah, the one thing I noticed when I was watching the 45-minute opening credit scene, which usually, like, let's just do this.
Corey's life lessons.
Hi kids. Uncle Corey here. If at the beginning of the movie, the credits just keep going and going and going and going at the beginning of the movie, chances are it's going to be a really bad movie and they don't expect you to stick around till the end. FYI. That out of the way. What I noticed was the story idea was done by one of the writers and JCVD.
Yes.
And I say one of the writers because JCVD does not have a writing credit in this. It's the guy that came up with the story idea, and then there's another writer underneath. Typically, I don't know these people. I'm not saying this for fact, but typically, when you see multiple writers on a screenplay or in the credits, that means usually one writer had the screenplay, and then they brought somebody else to give it a treatment and to punch it up. And usually when that happens, shit fades away. They take away storylines, they have to leave stuff in, but they don't finish it up. And I think that is probably what happened with this movie, is I think the original story idea was legitimately like Michael Caine and Zulu. That's what I think they were going for. And I think they came close. But for some reason, somewhere, somehow, some way, they had to bring in this love story, and they wrote that, and they just didn't have time or money or the budget, or it didn't test right, that he was going off to find his love. He was a Legionnaire now, I think is the point.
This move, the runtime was what, hour 38, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you what you were saying about the writers, it makes sense. I guarantee you that some of this was just cut for time. Because if you include those storylines that are in there, just off the top of my head, you're adding about another 20 minutes to this movie, makes it a 2-hour movie. If it doesn't test well, they probably just went floop, we could floop, and we could cut this and we could cut that. It's like, and this is what you get at the end. They're like, hour 38, perfect. Like, we're good there.
You were right.
Yeah, it's almost as if there was, almost as we suggested, a different idea to get him into the Legionnaires at the beginning.
Yeah.
It didn't work out. They wanted it to be changed. Writers are sometimes temperamental people. We don't like it when people suggest we change our words. And so what happens is he gets kicked off the set. They bring in a new writer. They design this fucking false love thing. But really, it doesn't matter. And you can kind of tell in the way it's shot, too. Simply from the fact that all of the Legionnaire stuff is shot very real. The costumes and their uniforms look well. The makeup's done well. The sweat and the dust and the sand. Everything is shot completely different from what 1925 Paris was like. And I get it. It's supposed to be a little bit of a juxtaposition, but at the same time, the beginning of this movie looked very B-movie. It wasn't as crisp as all of the war scenes or the training scenes or anything like that, which was disappointing.
I'd agree with that. I mean, dude, at the end of this, like, I kind of liked it, but I also kind of didn't like I'm like riding the fence on this one, which is hard for me because I know I like to shit all over JCVD movies, but so it's really hard for me to be like, this one was okay.
Yeah. And it was, and a lot of that had to do with the fact that he didn't speak much or really have much to do with the story overall.
Yeah.
But it is a good movie. It is full of missed opportunities.
Yep.
And leaves so many question marks in my mind. But that said, for a JCVD movie and kind of what we've seen, a lot of the cliches we've come to expect with him, etc. This is actually one of his better movies. This is a good movie. It's entertaining. And if you like, again, I go to like Zulu, Jarhead, but you don't want to invest the time or the effort into sitting down and really watching those movies. This is a great substitute for that, simply for the fact that you don't have to invest the full time. Fast forward the movie until he gets to the Legionnaires. When he's doing the walk with the rest of the new trainees, that's when you tune into this movie. Because the rest of the other first 20 minutes or so of this movie, completely unnecessary.
No, it's irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant. But no, that's all I got, though. You got anything else for this one?
No.
All right. Well, for Corey, I'm Armando. This is Kiss the Reviews, and this was 1998's Legionnaire.